All right, also it's time to make another Gekishin tier list here for season 3.3. This is pretty much going to be the final tier list for season 3. I don't know if there's going to be any other changes to this tier list, honestly, until the next hero comes out, which is kind of crazy. But keep in mind that the next time we're going to get a character drop is going to be half anniversary on March 17th. There's going to be a like emote banner drop here, but we're not really gonna see any character changes. I think especially because Squadra Blast is this weekend, the 7th and 8th, then this weekend, the 14th, 15th. I only think we're gonna see a patch here on the 17th of March. Now, could it be a pretty big patch? Yeah, I think so. I think it could really be a big patch. So, um, we can go ahead and talk about it here today. We're gonna go from the bottom up as always, and of course, you know, Super Saiyan 2 Kefla is an attacker, so we're gonna keep it right here. Well, I usually go bottom up, but maybe I'll go from like Diamond Goku and then all the way down to like, you know, the bottom right there. We'll see what we do. Now, starting things off, this is my previous tier list. I think, you know, some things have changed for sure. Actually, a lot of characters I've mixed around. There's different buffs and things like that, but you may see I changed worse in slot to LOL other than decent. That's because I decided I feel like I wanted to change things up a little bit with how the ranking is, just because of how different adjustments, you know, helped or hurt other characters, things like that. So I guess, you know, I did say we would start bottom up. Let's do that specifically. But I just wanted to show how things used to look like previously, and then you can kind of compare. So in LOL tier, we still have Frieza, and then we still have Gotenks. I just got them out of the way. I think, you know, you could argue either one as like the worst character in the game. I don't really think it matters that much whether or not you think Gotenks is worse or Frieza is worse. I mean, you could obviously still tell Ultimate Gohan is still going to be a very big menace. So this guy is completely shut down by Ultimate Gohan, unfortunately. Zarbon and Dodoria, again, I've always called them chess pieces, but essentially Ultimate Gohan can reach over to the enemy side of the board and move them around as he wants to, or just eat them. Like, who knows? Like, they're dead, you know, they're moved around. They can't really do anything. And I think Frieza's gimmick is unfortunately very easy to like get around. I feel like for the massive cooldown that Frieza has on Zarbon and Dodoria, maybe they should even have a little more HP. It just feels so easy to kind of melt these guys, especially late game. Frieza's really good at backdooring as well, but like that's kind of all you could do for him. Like he does a lot of chip damage because his skill cooldowns are very long. He also is able to get away out of situations a lot easier, and it's like, okay, well, you know, he may suck in combat, but at least he's good at backdooring. Like, compared to other characters, he's actually quite good at backdooring. This guy's not, you know, like, you know, just going ahead and hitting towers. Like, well, I wouldn't say he's not. Obviously he can, and the ghosts really do help him out when it comes to that, but I feel like this guy can get caught a little easier. I don't know, it really does depend on how, like, your opponent plays, what their opponent's using, etc. Skill 1's useless, skill 2 useless, ultimate's useless. Well, it's not useless, but it's like very easy to avoid. He has a transformation, which is nice. Again, it doesn't really matter, I would say, to an extent. Like, these two are just, they need help. These characters just straight up need help. I wish I can click this button again to get to everyone, but can't really do that. So that is the LOL tier. Actually, I decided to go ahead and bump Cell up a little. Now, I was talking with people and they were telling me I should still have some LOL. I decided not to, and the only reason why is because I feel like Cell actually has, you know, maybe the people in the comment section are getting to me, not necessarily, but more so, I think as the meta continues to evolve, we're still getting more and more into team fighting, and I think this Cell arena is really good. Well, now that we're considering, you know, huge team fights, and it always was good for bosses, but I just think it's slightly easier for Cell to kind of, you know, actually fight through things. I think in this meta, just like, it's not like the biggest change of all time, but it does help him out a little bit. He still needs early game health for him to really shine, in my opinion. but you can, and you always have been able to do things with Cell once he transforms. So I think I do want to maybe credit that a little bit more. This also is not as easy to counter, because when we consider like the best characters in the meta, they don't have any form of like crowd control, funny enough. Well, besides, I say the best attackers in the meta, when we consider like tanks, yes, they do have, you know, crowd control, Ultimate Gohan, but I don't think it's as bad as like when it was Super Saiyan Goku and the Gammas and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Ultimate Gohan, and all of them had staggers, and this guy was getting, you know, fucked over. It's not as bad as it was then, in my opinion. So that's kind of the point for that. I don't know. I feel like I don't think I put him in LOL anymore, but he's at the lower end of decent tier, in my opinion. I guess we can bring on the other two tanks, and again, I decided to move Baby down from my last tier list. I think I got a little bit too high on Baby, to be completely honest. I think this was kind of a fault of my own when it comes to Baby. I definitely got a little bit ahead of myself. Now, again, he was at the end of the last one, roughly. This wasn't necessarily ordered, but like roughly ordered, if that makes sense. Like, ooh, I would say was definitely better than the Gammas. And when it comes to Baby, he's just kind of like a... if Baby is left alone for once, like a literal real life baby, left alone for more than 1 second, something happens. That's what happens to Baby. In this game, he gets killed, but you know, hopefully not. Anyways, Vegeta, the issue with this guy is he just doesn't do enough. I don't know. I feel like for me, it just feels slightly underwhelming. Like, he has a lot of ways to restore shield, but he kind of doesn't do anything really crazy. Photon Bomber, as more and more attacks come out, again, you know, maybe Ironkin was right, not necessarily. Like, I feel like once, I don't know. I think this could be a little better, honestly. I think it's like the idea behind it is a really powerful move, and the forcibly moving enemies towards the center is really nice, but early game, the range is very low. This is kind of like a move that would almost be a Superstar Merchant, except I feel like a lot of people, I believe, Superstar Energy Blast Volley, because of the actual shield it gives you. It is super huge. I keep saying shield armor. You guys get the point. His ultimate, maybe, like, it does give the shield restoration, but what if his ultimate also pulled enemies in just like his skill does? I think that could be interesting, and maybe give it like a slight damage boost. I just feel like Vegeta could do a little more. That's kind of it. I mean, we'll see. He's fine, but he's not like crazy. And again, like when we say decent, it's like these characters are like a 7, maybe a 6 out of 10. They're not like unusable, right? I feel like you could get away with them. Next in the decent tier list, we do have no technicals. Funny enough, we have 18 who got a recent buff, but I don't think, again, from what I'm reading with the buff, I think it helps her out. But I'm not sure if it's a major game changer for her. It is literally just a very slight buff. There's no like damage increase. There's no like speed increase. It's just like it's easier for her to activate her skill 3 conditions, which is like, we'll take that. But I don't think it's like the game-changing buff that 18 needs, in my opinion. Now, in lower rank Elo, she's probably a demon, so they probably don't want to make her too good. So that's another thing. Dabura is actually no longer an LOL. Actually quite like what they did to Dabura, because they actually gave him something new here. Maybe I'm slightly overrating him, but I mean, I think I would be happier with the Dabura on my team right now than an 18, is what I'm thinking. This ultimate, I feel like you could really feel the 20 petrification gauge increase is kind of crazy. It has less fall off in the game. This is just like a good buff, I feel like, and the energy blast comes out a lot faster, which is nice, because you always felt like there was a slight lag with that. Now it's not nearly as much of a lag, which is really good. Then he has a heal on his first skill. I really do like that he actually restores his own HP in skill 1. I think that just helps him a lot in terms of survivability in fights. Now, against burst damage characters, he could still struggle, but again, as we continue to get into more and more team fights, you know, this guy on Bardock in a lane is kind of nasty. Uh, especially if you know, have this guy in Superstar for some reason. You could low-key, I mean, you could kind of Superstart skill 2, get the no vanish on the enemy after like Bardock wraths them, you know, skill the enemy, and then they can't really escape. And then since his gauge is so easy to fill now, I feel like he actually does land it, but that's a very situational pairing and circumstance. It's pretty much only with Bardock, which Bardock is the best tank, so we gotta give that credit. But if you're with literally any other setup, I think it doesn't really work. He still doesn't work that well, but he can do things now, especially when we consider it's with the best tank in the game. I decided we could put him a decent, you know, he could do some things, right? It's not a lot, but he has something that he could do. Like that's kind of where I feel like these characters are. It's like they have a spot they could shine, but unfortunately a lot of people who say these characters are like top tier only look at that spot and not their weaknesses, or their actual like pairings against a lot of characters, etc. You guys get the point. Next we have the good tier. I think the good tier hasn't really changed that much here. We could just kind of go down kind of similar line. I have Krillin here. I think Krillin's a decent character. Like he has a lot of like he can actually do a decent amount of burst damage, honestly, with his skill 1. I feel like his skill 2 is like okay. His skill 3, creating the smoke, is nice. It's really good for first hits. His ultimate could actually be decent for boss secures as well. It's not like the craziest thing ever, but he has it as an option. He also does have tracking on an enemy, so you could potentially even snipe an enemy as well, as long as they're marked. But I kind of do like Krillin. Papu, I think, gains more and more value as we get more and more into team fights. This guy's heal feels very valuable right now. I really do like him quite a lot, but I think he, like, it's in the same sense as Cell, where it's like his heal can be staggered. It's not as present, but it's still kind of there. We got to keep that in mind, so like you could stagger him out of it. And also, if Boo gets jumped, then, you know, I feel like Boo, it just makes Boo a target. So it could be a good or bad thing depending on the situation, but I do like Majin quite a bit. This guy has stuff to him. He always had stuff to him. I think he needs maybe just slightly a little bit more. Look, if they increase the range on his ult, I will be happy. Or the cast time is so slow. If they make that even slightly faster, this guy could be crazy. Candy Beam, I think, is an underrated ability, and I've always said that. God Topo still here. Nothing really changed for God Topo. We could just, I guess, fill out the rest of the list. Again, I think pretty much everything is the exact same, like Bojack. I would honestly say God Topo over Bojack right now. Medical Pods was nerfed, which was, you know, it's not as annoying now. And I feel like Bojack, because of that, like, he's so good, but I kind of like them above Topo because of Medical Pods. And now they're not as difficult to kind of wipe out, so I don't know. They're still annoying, but still. We have Trunks here. We have Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then we have Kale here. I don't think there's much I have to say about this right here. I think we can all agree this is like genuinely good. Super Saiyan 3 Goku did get a buff, which was very helpful. I almost think I probably will put Super Saiyan 3 Goku at the top of this tier, even above Topo maybe. I really do like Topo. You can make an argument Topo right now is better than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Again, everything else is roughly like, you know, estimated, and this is not necessarily in order, because I'm not saying like, you know, oh, 18 specifically is better than Cell, but I'm grouping the characters by their like their archetypes. I should have probably said that already in the video, but I didn't say that yet. That's kind of on me. But yeah, I do like what God Topo is able to do. But I think that Super Saiyan 3 Goku does just have better overall viability, at least in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm kind of keeping like this. Could you argue Super Saiyan 3 the buffs could be a little higher? I mean, the damage boost, definitely you can notice that. I feel like the instant transmission being lowered is kind of crazy. You could maybe the instant transmission buff is kind of nuts, honestly. But I think I need to do a little more testing with him. This is one I'm shaking on, and I will say it here. I'm a little bit shaky on this guy, but I think everything else here I'm fine with, honestly. The next we have the great tier, which is gonna also very bloated, honestly. I almost wanted to change it up a little, but I decided, no, we're gonna keep it like this. I don't have to talk about Super Saiyan Goku, right? He's been in the game for months. Like, this guy is a cockroach. He will continue to still be good after buffs and nerfs, etc. Gamma's really, really good. I think that it's not that they're not like in contention for like, you know, best picks necessarily, but it's more so. Sorry, I had a pause recording a sneeze. It's more so that there's just characters I would put, like, there's a few characters at this point that I would put above them, and it's not because they're bad by any means. Next, I think I'm going to go ahead and put Broly here. Broly's really, really good. Huge lane coverage. Anti-CC in this kit is really nice. His ultimate is so good just for many situations. I find his ult to be very useful, and it's really especially good again in boss fights where you're, again, if you're team fighting right before boss, which is usually what happens, especially for Jacko and Ribrianne, this guy can just cover the entire ring, which is really, really good for us. And yeah, no, Broly just does a lot of damage as well. He's just a good character. Like Broly, they did a great job with this guy. Piccolo is a bit strong. I do like him. I feel like he has a weakness. You do need to kind of know what you're doing with Piccolo. You need to work with your team well, but if you do that, Piccolo could arguably be better than anyone in this tier. Piccolo is just a really crazy character. It's just a thing of like, you need to actually put the effort in for Piccolo, I feel like, for him to feel that way. And it's not like it's a lot of effort. And obviously when I'm ranking these lists, I'm thinking of like, you know, more so in stacks rather than solo queue. I don't know. I don't think it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a friend cell. Maybe I just have too many friends, but that's pretty much it. Next we have Daima Goku got his buff, and I think it's pretty impactful. I do like Daima Goku's buff quite a lot. Right here, I mean, he has a 90% reduction on skill 3 now, which is really awesome. He gets extra. No, well, technically he gets less time on skill 1 for this movement speed up and energy defense up, but I don't think it's the worst. Like, kind of, it's a 0.5 second reduction. It's not gonna kill you. Then he does get movement speed reduction while attacking was decreased. So that's cool. Now that's only really again at level, you know, 2s and 3, which you're not really going to be putting a lot of stock into this skill anyways compared to the other ones. His ultimate has more damage, honestly, just generally it will do more damage. Then end of dash, he will have the swift spark, immune to all, which is kind of silly that he's just immune to all during the basically entire ultimate, basically. Which is very silly. It's not like, I don't think it's the entire ultimate, but it's most of the ultimate. Okay, that's so stupid. Daima Goku is looking pretty much back in meta now, I would say. This guy's really good. Then I think we will, you know what, let's switch things up. Let's rank the attackers here, then here, well, which is pretty obvious, but I think it's Oob, Kefla, and Vegito as best picks. So best picks, I decided to change it from best in slot to best picks, just because I feel like there could be multiple characters that are in this tier in the same role, and I don't want to like exclude them or put them a role lower next to characters that I feel like they shouldn't really be next to. So that's why I kind of changed the list up a little bit. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. Oob is still busted. Last tier list video, we talked about him, but they gave him everything. He has the biggest issue is his ult. I feel like doesn't scale properly with the extra cyclone. I think that's an issue. I feel like his skill 3 did not need the skill reduction cooldown, but I think everything else is fine. I just think they gave him a little too much. They had to just, you know, cut back a little bit for him and he would have been a little bit fine. But right now he's kind of a bit much. And I think that he does need a nerf. I think Kefla is fine, funny enough. And I think Vegito should be also slightly nerfed probably. It's really weird to say, but I feel like, I mean, I guess maybe Kefla does need a little bit of a nerf on the vanishing restoration amount she gets. It's pretty crazy. This is kind of like the tier where it's like you should probably nerf these characters, I guess, right? Vegito actually got a buff. Cooldown decrease on his passive for both of these right here. Flash dodge skill 2 cooldown was decreased. The movement speed was a lot faster, even though it takes longer for the movement speed to increase, which is it's a 0.05 seconds like start time decrease. Like, oh no, it's like not really the biggest deal. That's why I think I have Vegito up here. I think the buffs actually quite help him out. Just what he's doing in general, I do like them, because this is again his extra health and how many times he can activate his extra health. So that's really good. It's basically half the time it was before, which means that he has more extra health, which makes it harder to kill this guy. Next, we could talk about tanks. I'll have Zamasu and Cooler here, and Kefla. I think all three of them kind of fit this tier. You could argue maybe Kefla could be a tier lower, and I wouldn't be against it, but I think Kefla is still very annoying with her provoke, at least to me specifically. Cooler is just so good at disrupting the best tanks, which I don't think we have to talk about, like, oh, who's the best tanks? Bardock and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I think it's pretty clearly these two are the best tanks. They have been, like, Bardock has been since he came out, which was 3 weeks ago. So I think a lot of people understand how good Bardock is. But in case you don't, he has a built-in Rildo, which is a Wrath. He has just actually decent damage with skill 1. I feel like it could be very annoying. He's very good at crowd control, or yeah, just like pushing enemies away, keeping them in. He's really good at, you know, his ultimate is also very annoying, as well as what I found. His skill 2 doesn't really do a lot, but it's like if you land it, you can feel very satisfied with it, and it does give a stun. I actually got killed the other day because of his skill 2. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is kind of like a more defensive variant of Bardock, where I feel like you can make slightly less plays off him, but maybe he's just a bit more tankier, and he has the energy barrier, which is really nice. His ultimate can leave him a little open though, which is, you know, one thing I like about Bardock over this guy. But I still think it's close enough to where you can make some very strong points for Vegeta being better. I just think Bardock, like, I wouldn't really, like, I'd say you could make points about it, but would I agree? Probably not. But Bardock gets a nerf, Vegeta could definitely shift back into, like, best definitive tank. I would say, though, Bardock, in my opinion, is the best tank in the game right now. Speaking of Zamasu, actually, I kind of skipped over him. He got buffs recently. I think really help him out, really make things a lot smoother with this guy. His regeneration gauge on battle, and every time he respawns, is 50% instead of 0% now. So he actually has half his gauge built up already, which is really helpful for him, because you usually had to go back and farm a lot more often in the past. Now you don't really have to do that as much anymore. Like, you could pretty much get his gauge even in a team fight, or like right before a team fight, you kill, like, you know, I guess like 2 or 3 mobs, you have the gauge pretty much fully built up. At least the most important thing is that his gauge is over 50%, so he could have his revive in his kit. They gave him an extra stock in skill 1, and the regeneration gauge was decreased, but again, having the 2 stock means that you can build it up twice in a single interaction, which is really good, if not even like 3 times potentially. Then skill 2 got a buff, which we really wanted. He actually does give it movement speed down at max level. I believe it gives 60%, and it's a 3-second debuff. And again, if you hit them into the wall, you essentially I believe you stop at a wall, if I'm not mistaken when it comes to that. Let me double check with Zamasu's kit real quick here. Where's Zamasu? It's this boy. It doesn't stop at a wall basically, but Zamasu is really good at pressuring the enemy, because keep in mind, with skill 1, he also does provide movement speed down. So, like, he's really good at making the enemy not get out of a situation. I do like Zamasu quite a bit right now. I think he has gotten a lot of help recently, and I think that regeneration gauge is so useful just for him, just in general. And it allows you to leave farm for your actual, like, attackers like Oob or Kefla or Vegeta, like these characters who want to get their max ultimate. It allows them to get more farm throughout the match compared to Zamasu, and it just makes it easier for him. Now, next we do have technical. Ultimate Gohan. Do I have to? I have this season 2 character that pretty much hasn't, like, he was like nerfed a little bit, but I don't think it really changes issues. This guy, this passive skill, he needs to get 2 stacks on it to stun the enemy. It should be 3 stacks. Funny enough, before release, it was actually 3 stacks and they changed it to 2. It's literally 3 stacks in this video right here. You guys see that? You see how the 3 dots are in there? It's 3 stacks in the video. On the actual Gekishin site, they're using the trailer video when it was 3 stacks. If it was 3 stacks, man, oh my god, this guy would be put into place in a much better spot of being in great and not super oppressive. But that's the issue. I think hit's really annoying still. 17 actually gains so much value right now. I think 17, as we continue to get team fights, kind of like what we're saying with Cell, for example, but like obviously 17 is actually a good character. His shield was really helpful. His anti-healing isn't really the craziest of all time, but it can help in situations against Vegito. I think it can help against Gamma, if we're facing a Kale maybe. Like there's situations where, you know, even Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, this anti-heal could be quite impactful, I feel like, especially again against tank characters. Then Kid Gohan, I think he doesn't have as much value right now, but he's still good. I wonder if I do this. Yeah, it brings Kid Gohan in there. Okay, perfect. Now it looks a little bit cleaner. Kid Gohan still has value, for sure. I think the energy defense up is really important for like fights against Oob, Kefla, even Vegeta. Like we see all these characters doing energy blast. I think that energy defense up is really nice. He still gives really good buffs. He is, again, pretty fast, still decent at riding around the tower map, you know, as a technical character, which I think it applies to every character, but you guys get the point. He's actually also decently tanky, I feel like, against Energy Blast, because he gets the energy defense up. Applied to himself now, I believe. In fact, I need to double check this, but I think it's in these patch notes. We can take a look here. Yeah, he has energy. No, he has extra defense here, but he gets himself energy attacking, which doesn't really do anything for himself, honestly. But you can spam this barrier a little more often, even though it can't really be used as offensively as it could be in the past. I think, you know, it's really helpful, especially against Kefla, who can do some burst damage on her skill too. Oops, I'm getting an alarm set up, which means that I gotta go. So, let me know what you guys are thinking. There's not much really to say. Again, comparing it to my last one, you can definitely see that there's quite a lot of changes, but as always, meta is going to keep changing. But I feel like a lot of it has also still stayed stagnant, like especially when it comes to Bardock and Ultimate Gohan, or more so like Ultimate Gohan, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Like I think these two in particular are just kind of still a little bit of rats. So annoying flies from the past. Anyways, I appreciate you for watching, and this is not really specifically in order, but just a general thing of how I feel. Catch you guys in the next video, and peace out.